Welcome aboard, everyone. I'm your Genzenio host, Brian, and I'm thrilled you found your way to this week's episode of ISTP Weekly. If you're catching this episode post-production, please take note. ISTP Weekly is live every Monday from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Although the show is geared towards ISTP stuff, you'll find that I talk about a multitude of things that relate to navigating 21st century reality, and hopefully you'll be pleasantly surprised to find a tidbit of insight no matter what your type. Please also take a moment to hit all the buttons that tell this platform you like this content. Those little nuggets of support not only help get the word out, but also inspires us content creators via positive feedback. You have my sincere thanks for your efforts. And with content creators in mind, it's my privilege to bring you a very special guest. Today we'll be talking about SE, extroverted sensing, with Taylor, aka Flow State, aka Supreme Leader of the ESTP Nation and free-thinking loudmouth liberty lovers worldwide. Taylor and I will talk one-on-one for the first half of the episode, and then open it up to the chat for the second half. Please hold any specific questions for me or Taylor until that time, lest I run the risk of missing it. So without any further ado, let's go.
Entering typology and typology communities has allowed me to do is interact with people on a less superficial level, but also still have, sort of that internet distance where you can be pretty deep with kind of strangers.
All right, I got to make a response video about that.
So,
Okay, I just realized that the mute monster got me. The mute monster got me. I had a problem there. We pulled it together, and we talked all about the politics. We talked all about the stuff that Boba Fett wanted to hear. We've already been through it all, and you guys missed it. And I always mute something on the live stream. So now that we're 14 minutes in, you know what? Let's start over. How are you? Where are you from?
Let's do it. I'm good. How are you? Thank you.
It's a pleasure
nice
to have you
Taylor.
on ISTP Weekly.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Great. Well, now that we've already talked about Trump, we've already talked about liberals and Republicans. We're going to get on to some.
We covered SE.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some cognitive functions now that all the politics are out of the way. Sorry, everybody, you missed it. You're going to have to stay tuned to the next time I go to Taylor's channel, and we'll revisit what we just discussed, and you'll get everything you were looking for.
It was really great stuff.
Yeah, and we didn't even throw our monitors or anything,
I never throw my things.
Yeah, same here. That's probably SE. Because we know what's going to happen to it. You do it once.
I think it's PE.
You think so?
One time I punched the wall. Yeah, because then I had to patch the fucking wall.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way about my SI. It's the critical parent for the ISTP, and basically everything revolving around SI is literally a parent. It's telling me, don't make that mistake again, or you're an idiot.
I ignore the shit out of my SI as long as I can.
Yeah, I try. That's one of the things that comes with age. We were talking about part that they missed is we were talking about turning 30 and turning 40, and those are the ages when SI really catches up to you and starts putting the hammer down.
I was asking him if because he's an old balls, and I was asking him if turning 40 messed with his head, because for me turning 30 messed with my head, and it caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting it to, because I normally don't pay any attention at all to birthdays. But it did not screw with him, but we did both agree that turning 30 is when you're really like an actual adult and you can't pretend you're not anymore.
Yep. It's time for the hero's journey. All right. So cognitive functions. Now that we've got the formal nutsack fondling and butt sniffing out of the way, we can get down to business. Tonight we're picking your brain about SE. It's the auxiliary function for the ISTP, but everyone knows the god of SEs are ESXPs. My first question, they didn't hear this, unfortunately, from you, the answer. For most folks, the dominant function is out of sight, out of mind. Is it the same way for you with SE?
It is. It was. Now that I'm aware of SE as a thing in the typology framework, I'm aware of it. But yeah, I was in my late 20s before I realized that not everybody is here in the world as much as I am, I suppose. And then when I learned that, it sort of blew me away. It's like, where do you people go then? If where you at?
I hear that. How did your relationship with SE change as you investigated personality theory? Like what were the awakenings for you about it?
So I am a more of an adherent to socionics than other type systems, even though there are several good ones. But the socionics definition of SE is probably the most different of all the functions from MBTI, and it's a forceful, aggressive. It's force is what they call it, and so that component I think was more eye-opening to me because I'd been told my whole life that I'm intense or what, intimidating or whatever, but you just kind of like it never like settled in as a reality. I just thought, oh, no, people are silly, people are weird, who knows. I was being intense when they said that, that sort of stuff. I just kind of brushed it off and never thought about it. So it wasn't until I realized sort of that when learning about the socionics SE in tandem with learning about Enneagram Type 8, which is what I am, it really sort of gave me an outside perspective on myself. And so I think that I've used that to try to smooth out some of the edges, be a little more patient with people.
Okay, you say like patient with people. Do you attribute some of your eightness as it relates to people with SE and not FE?
What do you mean?
Well, I guess you were mentioning like a little bit aggressive, and I guess isn't that the type 8 is kind of like somebody who's up for the challenge and will take on any comer at any time, that type of thing.
Sort of, yeah. Are you asking if trying to be more patient with people is an FE thing more than an SE thing?
I guess I was wondering when you were saying that SE is force, and you were coming to realize that you were forceful. Would I get that part?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So how can you elaborate on the socionics side of force as it relates to SE?
Yeah. So it's an aggressive, assertive. I'm trying to look for a better word than dominating, but I'm not readily coming up with one. But so the traditional Jungian definition of SE is sort of awareness, presence, and physical senses of the environment around you. You're here now in real time. The way that I view SE in its entirety is I think that is correct, as well as the socionics version is correct, which is force. Basically, it's an active, your force of nature. It's force of will. That's a big thing that gets discussed in socionics regarding SE is will. So the way I view it is that you've got the SE presence in the moment, which I think is accurate. And also, I mean, if you're in the moment, then you there? Your camera reconnected for a minute. Am I coming through all right?
Yeah, you broke up for just a second, but it
Okay.
wasn't anything substantial.
Okay. But yeah, so if you're in the moment in your SE awareness, then it makes sense to me that you would also interact in the moment with your SE force. So I view my holistic view of SE is that it's both of these definitions. They're two sides of the same coin: the awareness and the interaction in the environment.
Yeah, that's a really interesting idea. I never thought about it that way. And when you talk about force in that way, like will or drive, that type of thing, that makes total sense to me. That makes total sense to me. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, and sort of experientially, you see that with SE egos.
True.
The both sides of it.
Yeah. So, do you know any ESFPs?
My
Or
ex-wife was an ESFP.
how does SE between you two differ?
Um, well, the way that we allow it to express in the external world, I think, is reflects TI versus FI. I would say. So really, I mean, I think the correct answer to that is SE manifests in the external world very much the same for the two types.
Yeah.
The differences would be just in the shading of it.
Yep. That makes sense. That makes sense. What do you suppose are the most common misconceptions about SE?
Um, the well, of course, and all stereotypes are overplayed, but I think that the sort of meathead jock stereotype is overplayed, and the TI tool is underplayed. Something that feedback I constantly get is ESTPs are smart. Like, we didn't know that sensors could be smart. And I'm so I think that people tend to downplay how big an impact TI has on our TI has on our behavior, and we don't always show it. I can speak for myself, certainly, and I've noticed this in other ESTPs. We don't always show that we're calculating stuff. So, and to an extent, that's not necessarily an accident. Sometimes it's better for people to think you're kind of dumb.
Interesting.
I guess the other thing would just be the varsity quarterback athlete. I think we all do probably like sports. I don't like to watch sports, so I'm sure that surprises people.
Well, do you suppose is there a difference for you between individual and team sports? Or just sports
I
in
like
general?
team better.
Okay.
I like team sports better, and I like faster paced sports the most. So baseball and golf are at the bottom. Football's kind of in the middle, but you got to to play the last 5 minutes of the game, it takes an hour and a half. And probably soccer, things like that, or basketball are going to be higher. If I could find rugby, I like watching rugby, but I played rugby in high school, so it's kind of nostalgic.
Nice. Cool. So how do you get that out then? What was your go-to for,
Or
SEing all over everybody's face?
well, I'd rather be doing the stuff than watching the stuff.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, so were you kind of like the leader instigator, or kind of like I'll show everybody I'll be the first one to do it, something like that?
Give me context for that question a little bit more.
Like for instance,
are you talking about when I was in high school or now?
high school? Like, were you the first one to jump off the bridge?
Okay.
Into the river type thing.
I was always more comfortable with risk than other people, but I wasn't stupid about it. So if you're jumping off something, I wouldn't be the first one to do it. I would convince somebody else to do it first.
Or check to see how deep it is, maybe.
Well, it doesn't matter. I just like the whole thing. I just want to see somebody else do it the whole way down. So there's always, you can always get somebody to do something stupid like that. But if there's a reward at the end of the risk, all of a sudden I get a lot more ballsy and my inhibition drops. So I never took a lot of unnecessary risks, like jumping off of things or graffiti, just shit where there's no reward at the end of it.
Yeah, I get it. Okay. Well, there was a really good, I totally lost the question there. It'll come back to me. That's what it was. Risk. So, are you a father?
I am. I've got one daughter that I know of. She's 11.
And how did your perception on risk change when she was born?
A lot. It changed a lot.
It does.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Were you afraid of death before she was born?
No. And I'm still not afraid of it. I'm still not afraid of it. But
Same.
I am afraid of her not having a dad.
Exactly.
And I think the main change for me was, or the most memorable one, is fighting. I used to be kind of a fighter. I enjoyed it. You talk about a sport. Fighting motherfuckers is a sport.
Yeah.
With stakes.
Same.
But when she was born, I sort of realized that I can risk my own life, but I don't have the right to risk her dad's life over some stupid shit. I have an obligation to try to preserve that. So I made a deal with myself that I would do everything I could to avoid violence in any situation. That means, no ego shit, like walk away and let people talk or whatever. No amount of shit talking or nothing is going to get me into a violent encounter. If I have to be in one, then I engage it absolutely ruthlessly and just try to end it as fast and efficiently.
Yeah.
And I've stuck to my for 11 years now. So
yeah, I know the feeling. That's it's absolutely, we were talking about 30 before, and how that's like the age where you get this feeling of adult. That's nothing. That doesn't even remotely touch having a child. And I mean, I guess I can't say the other, but having a daughter, it feels like even more important.
I think it probably is more impactful I mean, I gotta speculate it is because you're all in protection mode, and you're not in ambition mode.
Yeah, well said. That is totally the truth. That's totally the truth.
That was a great video you did, by the way, where you gave your daughter the Tool album.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I try and indoctrinate them when I can. Basically, they have to listen to Tool whenever they're in the car. So
I absolutely approve of that. My daughter's first favorite song that I can remember her mentioning by name was a Rob Zombie one called Ging Gang Gong. Do you know that song?
no, I know Zombie, but not that song.
Yeah, and I was so proud of her, but then I kind of got in trouble with my mom when she's like 4, and she asked my mom if she's heard the new Rob Zombie album. So,
Did you get the look? You get the side eye on that one?
that's exactly what it was. It was the side eye.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, have you changed how you look towards the future? Like, have you noticed a big shift in your SE, like with planning around growing up and being more mature? Do you plan different, or do you have a different look on it?
I don't think. I mean, that's sort of changed throughout life, but I don't know that it's because of my daughter so much as other factors. Um, when my daughter was young, I got divorced and won sole custody of her when she was 18 months old. Um, and at that point in my life, when I was in banking and a single dad, I had a lot of shit going on. I was all about the doing things the way that you're probably supposed to do, and then, but since then, I've changed my tune, and I'm less responsible now, than I was, but much happier, and I wouldn't go back. I've learned, you learn that you can have a shitload of money and a good job and a good title and still be miserable as fuck.
Ain't that the truth?
But yeah, or you can have no money and be happy as shit. So now I try to enjoy life more than work at it. I think that's a problem in society, is that people are always working for the future. You go to grade school so that you can to go to high school, and you go to high school so that you can get into college, and you go to college so you can start working, and then you're working and trying to climb the ladder, and then you're done, so life is now, and I think my philosophy has changed very much to enjoy it now. You can't properly prep for the future anyways. None of my plans have not ever worked out. So
I'm looking up something right now, and
yeah, go ahead.
I really want your take on this. This is one of my favorite things in the whole world, and let's see if they're gonna let me save
Is it gay
this.
porn?
All right, so I'm gonna put. I'll read this to you. I'm gonna put it on screen, and now I just have to find. Okay. We'll call it image 1. And add a source. Here we go. I've put this on screen for the folks here, and I'll read it to you. Oh shit, that's only one page. Damn it. That's only one page. Let me see if I can get this.
Are you interfacing this through OBM?
I'm using Streamlabs in conjunction with StreamYard. Once we get the chat going, I kind of have a little hack that I got going on with StreamYard, and I'll be able to bring up the little bubble thing that everybody likes and that kind of thing. But this was, I think this is really prudent to what we've been talking about, and I've been and I brought it up a few times, and I've never gotten around to talking about it, so now I'm going to take the opportunity.
Carpe that DM.
Okay, so here it comes at you. This is the okay, yeah. So a rich industrialist was horrified to find a fisherman lying beside his boat smoking a pipe. Why aren't you out fishing? Asked the industrialist. Because I've caught enough fish for the day. Why don't you catch more? Well, what would I do with them? You could earn more money, and then you could have a motor fitted to your boat and go into deeper waters and catch more fish. Then you would have enough money to buy more nylon nets. Then they would bring you more fish and more money. Soon you would have enough money to have 2 boats, maybe even a fleet of boats. Then you would be a rich man like me. Well, what do I do then? Asks the fisherman. Then you can sit back and enjoy life, replies the industrialist. And the fisherman says, well, what do you think I'm doing right now?
Yeah.
That's
I like it.
That's really what I've grown into. And I've brought it up a billion times, and I finally got it on stream. And yeah, I'm glad you agree. It's we have an interesting culture going on with the ushering in of the technology age and first industrial revolution, etc. It's I don't think it would be so bad to slow down a little bit.
But we can't.
Yeah.
Like really, I don't think that we can. I think that we've probably got AI and these sort of these sort of compounding technologies to a point where we just can't do anything to pump the brakes as a species.
Yeah, I don't think we can pump the brakes as a species, where technology, Moore's law is in full effect, the technology boom is in full effect, the singularity will come around eventually. But at what cost? At what cost?
I mean, I'm not joining that shit. I'll tell you right now, I'm living in a shack in the woods until they hunt me down and kill me. But I can't think of anything. I really can't think of any worse decision than handing over your consciousness to what? To anyone else, anything else.
Yeah, I don't even. I've talked about it before. I don't believe it's possible to upload your consciousness, or at least I think it's probably it would. It's the old problem with like the Star Trek teleporter. When you go into the Star Trek teleporter and all of your atoms get disassembled, they're reassembled wherever they need to be, but it's not the same thing. It's basically a clone. So you die and your clone makes it out, and the clone thinks that it's you and that you lived, but you really didn't live, your clone lived. And the same thing is going to happen when somebody tries to, put their brain in a computer. Well, they're going to die, and the clone in the computer will be there, and it'll think everything's great, but you're not going to experience it because you're going to be dead.
I just had another glitch.
Oh, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Mike, check. You're frozen on my end.
I can see you over there. Can you see me moving now?
I can hear you too.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the primary goal here.
You moved a little bit. Hey,
you know what?
All right. We're coming back online.
Nice. Okay. So,
did you ask me a question just now? Because it kind of.
I kind of just rambled about the singularity and how I don't think it's possible to live through the experience of having your brain uploaded. Just in the same way that I don't think you can live through a Star Trek teleporter. The clone that comes out on the other side thinks it's you, but you're actually not coming out the other side. You're dying every time that happens. And it's the same concept for the computer.
I don't think that I don't think consciousness is a thing that can be just transferred over like that.
Yeah.
I don't think we understand consciousness, but I don't think it's localized, I guess, and independent. I don't think it's completely localized and completely independent.
What I'm going to do now, I'm going to open up the chat. I'm going to open up the chat and see what we can get out of these
I lost
folks.
my cigarette somewhere.
Take your time. I got to get this special little thing going that everybody likes here.
How the fuck do I do this shit?
So if anyone out there is, it looks like we have 14 people online. Thank you all for making it through the original blunder there with the mute. I'm sure that was a bit frustrating, but you hung in there, and I really appreciate it. And so now, if you would be so kind, we're opening up the discussion to the chat. And if you have like a specific type of question, please put like a Q in front of it or something that makes it easily identifiable. Otherwise, we will just we'll engage with the random lunacy of the internet. Well, there are plenty of comments here. Swift Eagle. I don't think the singularity has to happen because individuality will be phased out before long. Well, Swift Eagle, it's kind of ironic you say that because I wanted to congratulate you and wish you well wishes and bon voyages and safe journeys and healthy returns. Thank you for your service.
Voyaging.
Swift Eagle, rumor has it, Swift Eagle is bon voyaging soon to serve our country. And I was just saying thanks for that. Winston's mom has a question. Ooh. Where'd it go? Here we go. Wait. The StreamYard thing is kind of going nuts on me here. Bear with me 1 second, folks. I'm gonna try and get this thing under control. Okay, Winston's. Looks like I'll get to you next, Eric. Winston's mom. You both like metal. Brian likes Tool. Could you two compare band preferences and tastes in music? Sure. I'll go first. I got into metal in 1986, so I would have been about 8 years old when I started listening to metal. My cousins, who were slightly older than me, they listened to Metallica and Iron Maiden and Manowar, and the first tape I ever bought was Master of Puppets. How about you, Taylor?
It depends on sort of where you draw the line of metal. I suppose the first rock band I brought home a cassette tape of was Green Day. It was Green Day's Dookie. But I'd say probably the first proper metal. I was born in '86, and so I kind of came of age during the
Grunge. Grunge and rap. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was Nirvana, but the first thing that like I pursued actively, I listened to Smashing Pumpkins and Nirvana and that stuff, but it was more passive because I was younger then.
Did you ever listen to Anthrax?
Really, no, not really.
Anthrax is a good metal rap band. You might enjoy them.
Okay. I'll check them out. Korn is my favorite band of all time. I like the Follow the Leader album is incredible. But so yeah, that's sort of Korn, Limp Bizkit, Orgy, Slipknot.
Yep.
That's when I got into all that stuff. And Follow the Leader was the album that's
okay.
Still,
I was there for self-titled. That was a really big deal.
No, I'm sorry. No, it's their third one. Yeah, it was their first huge album, but it was their third album. Got the Life is the best song of all time.
Nice. Yeah, I've been to a few Family Value tours and tore it up in the day. Corn is good.
Did you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, the first concert I went to was Tool at Wing Stadium in Kalamazoo in 1997. And I've seen them 8 times since. I've been to multiple Family
God, you're an
Values tours.
asshole.
I'm sorry?
You're an asshole. The last time Tool went on tour, I forgot to buy tickets until like half an hour after they went on sale, and I got online, and everything within like 13 hours of me was completely sold. Everything was gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been a Tool Army member since like 99, back with the original website. And yeah, Tool has been far and away my biggest most important band in my life. But in my heyday, I saw Pantera a bunch. I saw Korn a couple times.
I saw Hell Yeah a bunch, and I went backstage at 2 Hell Yeah concerts, and I never saw Pantera. But if they're similar to each other, then Pantera was a good live show because Hell Yeah was awesome live.
Yeah, those were the days. Eric wants us to talk about girl ESTPs. Do you have anything to say, Taylor, about girl ESTPs?
I think that girl ESTPs are dimes. There's as far as I don't know that I've ever hooked up with one. There's a weird sort of who's pursuing who sort of, with your own type. With your own type, you kind of just, I don't know how to explain it, but
well, yeah,
there's something masturbatory about it.
I don't even know how to begin to put myself in that position because I never took MBTI seriously in any way, shape, or form until last year. I took the test here and there, but never gave it any thought whatsoever. So I was never able to apply that to experiences over my life. So but
oh yeah, I'm trying to do it in hindsight. Just like I know how I interact with ESTP women now, and I'm thinking back, and I don't know that maybe if I ever hooked up with one. I mean, probably I did because but there is sort of I guess what I'm saying is, as far as sexual compatibility, I don't know what context you asked the question, but I think that there is sexual compatibility, and that's it.
Yeah, because like you said, it's who's chasing who in that instance. That could I don't know. ESTP girls, I suppose if I was placing myself in that position again, I might actually, to be completely honest, I might be a little bit I don't know, scared. Like not scared, intimidated. That might be like the only female type that I would feel potentially intimidated by. But I don't know. I'll never know. But yeah, well,
are you in a relationship now?
I'm married. Married 10 years. Yeah, second. I'm on my second marriage. First marriage was about 10 years. Second marriage now 10 good years. So no end in sight. Everything's going great, and now it's no girls in the future to think about if I'll ever worry about an ESTP or not.
And so, what types were and are?
My first wife, I suspect, was an ESFP. And I suspect my current wife is an ENTJ.
Yeah. Interesting. I get along well with I think ENTJ women are used to being intimidating to men, and so I've noticed that's not a situation with me. and I seem to get along real well with them. So I find it interesting that you are married to one.
Yeah, we actually it's a really nice dichotomy there with the TI Dom versus the TE Dom, where there can be a little bit of headbanging going on, like depending on
No.
how fast she wants to get something done versus how much I want to think it out. But other than that, it's a real nice tandem there.
What stocks is she buying?
She's in healthcare,
Mm.
so just all the usual 401k stuff.
Eeh.
Yeah, I never. So here's I've told this story before. Back in the aughts, I distinctly remember sitting there trying to make the choice between do I download Folding at Home or do I download this Bitcoin mining thing that they've been talking about here and there. And I chose the cancer research, unfortunately. I could have mined Bitcoin when it was, 1,000th of a penny. But I chose cancer research instead. So I got that
that
going
was
for me.
for all objective. That seems like that was the right decision. I mean, it was the wrong decision, but in the moment, I don't think you made the wrong decision. Like,
I know, and that's how I get over it. But there's part of me that hasn't gotten over it.
well, it's not too late for you to play the game. It's too late for you to make that rise, but if you watch the crypto market, you know what a Fibonacci scale is?
Yeah.
Okay, Tool's music is based off Fibonacci
Yeah,
scales.
the song Lateralis. It's a work of art.
So is the crypto market.
Okay. Uh-oh. I might be losing you again. Can you hear me now?
There you are. There you are.
Okay, great.
You're back.
Yeah, I'll eventually I'll yeah, I got so many other things going on. The last thing I want to do is start diving headfirst down a rabbit hole of crypto where it actually costs me money to do my hobby. I mean, this is, it's not too expensive of a hobby, and if I somehow threw a bunch away, I'd be like, why did I just wait? I see. I don't have that. I don't have that drive. The drive to. I think it's because I'm a 5. I learned about this when I was talking to Peter Tendici. The 5 basically abhors wealth and greed and gluttony and it's true. It's the
And
fisherman and the industrialist. It comes
eight's
full circle.
the vice of the type 8 is lust, in a broad sense of excess in all things, not just sexual, not just, but also including. And so we have opposite attitudes towards excess.
Yeah, interesting. Eric wants to know what type is your daughter. Did you type her when she was 6 months or 6 weeks? By the way, hey, no, since you complimented me on mine, that was the fucking bomb. That C.S. Joseph video you did when he typed his 6-day-old baby. That was golden. You have really great comedy, dude. Please keep it up. Like side-splitting trollish, like, but not like dumb troll, like real legit comedy. You took it to him. I loved it.
I had a good time with that video. It's gotten significantly fewer views than a lot of my other CS Joseph videos, which is kind of disappointing. Because I think it's probably the best one too. But yeah, thank you. They're fun to make, but it's time consuming.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Rachel wants to know, being born in '86, does Taylor feel he was ahead of the curve with millennial trends?
Such as what? Like, and in what way, as far as being ahead of the curve? Like, oh no, I came too early and I missed it, or like, cool, I grew up just barely before there were cameras everywhere.
Well, I know that growing up, it's it's weird when sometimes when I tell my kids about, how there was no internet or something along those lines, and they just look at me and it brings me back to when, grandma would say, "Yeah, there was no TV." And we thought that was the weirdest thing, but now we've lived through this second explosion of information, and it's pretty crazy stuff. Rachel says
Yeah,
the answer to elaborate. She says like trends and lifestyle.
I feel like she just repeated the same word. Um, Ahead of the trends. I'm still not sure if she means do I feel like I had an advantage or like I missed it. Um, and if she has any specific trends she's thinking of, that would be cool too, because I have very mixed. There's not. I can't say that I blanket like or dislike the trends either way. There are some that are good and there are some that are bad. Um, I guess I tend to lean more towards sort of old school thinking in a lot of things. Um, but yeah, I'm still kind of speculating as to what I just am not sure what precisely she's trying to ask.
Okay, we'll get to the bottom of it. Eric wants to know, are you really into the trend of not answering my question? And so I think Eric's been trying to find out what your daughter's type is. I don't.
Well, I don't believe in typing kids for a lot of reasons. I did a whole video on it. I'm opposed to typing kids, you know, before like until they're well past puberty. But I do know somebody who did type my daughter. Eric did type my daughter when she was, how old was she? 5 probably. And that video is great. It's on his channel. I'll dig it out of the archive and throw a link in the comments after we're done here because it's fantastic. He typed her ENTP. Um, I Like I said, I haven't typed her and I won't type her, but I suspect that she's a beta quadra extrovert.
Beta Quadra. Do
So
you
probably
have? I forgot to ask you about this during the question session. Do you have ISTP friends? How do you feel about ISTPs in general?
I have tons of ISTP friends. I always have my whole life. I try to keep like at least 2 or 3 of y'all motherfuckers on hand at all times. Yeah, lot of ISTPs around.
Nice, nice. I don't. I don't know any personally myself. I know ESTPs, but right off the top of my head, I've tried to think it through too, and yeah, it's weird. I think we're about 6% of the population. Do you know what it is for ESTP?
I don't.
Yeah, or somewhere between 6 to 8% of the population. So you'd think I would have happened to me by now, but
I I would imagine that when ISTPs cross paths, they just keep crossing because I know that when I meet an ISTP for the first time, like y'all, maybe not you specifically, but probably you as well. But ISTPs sort of walk through the world knowing that everybody else is kind of an idiot, and so for me,
come on, man, don't out me like
I have
that,
to kind
bro.
of I have to kind of jive with an ISTP for a few minutes before he realizes that I'm not an idiot, and then it's exciting for them because like, oh, somebody else who's not retarded. So it takes a little bit of uh working, I guess. It's not like an ESFP or an ESFJ or somebody who's just gonna be interested in you and friendly. So I would imagine that you two can just cross right past each other because y'all are both, not about to try to impress somebody else who's probably an idiot.
That's a really good insight. You're probably right. I agree with that. Winston's mom. Oh, talking with famous people ask, well, what type is okay? So we've got over that part. Uh, you guys are hilarious. I'm gonna see if I missed anything. It was a little higher up. So this is we've reached the 1 hour mark, folks. This is we're gonna be closing it down kind of soon. But I'm having a good time, and I want to give any more opportunities that we might have here.
And so I when the mic situation was going on and I was muted, one thing I asked was, "Are we going to get into politics tonight?"
Yeah, you did.
Because he's even though neither of us like using these handles, especially in a self-applying sort of way, he's more of a liberal and I'm more of a conservative. But we're both TI egos, so I think that would be an interesting discussion. We are more than welcome to jump over to my channel after this is done and have that discussion if you're up for it, or we can do it a different time.
I would be up for it. Yeah, I am up for it. I'll just need about 10 minutes between the two. So,
Yep, me too.
you know, Winston's mom has one more question. Let's land this one last question here. What's your biggest pet peeve in typology?
In typology, give me a second. I know I've got them. I just want to make sure that I get the right one, because if I get the wrong one, I'm gonna feel like I need to come back and like make a video about the right one later because it'll annoy me. Um, um,
Well, you're thinking about yours.
hearing people say that SE is about giving other people a good experience, which is a CS Joseph ism, and it's just not right at all.
I was going to say that sounds basically completely out of scope based on what we've just talked about for the last hour.
It's completely out of all the scopes across all systems. It's wrong.
Yeah, it's yeah. Karma's Pimp wants to know real quick here. What is your guys' sleep schedule like?
Mine is dependent on my lifestyle at the time. So when I have a more regular 9 to 5 schedule than I do right now, it becomes more regular, like midnight to as late as I can push it. Now that I don't have a particularly rigid schedule, it's sporadic.
Okay.
I'd say.
Mine was
if I don't control it. So if I was just gonna say, if I don't manage it, I'll find myself going to bed when the sun rises, and then that makes for sort of a fucked up day. So I try to get myself to bed at 2.
yeah, both age and having a kid kind of caught up to me on sleep. My sleep prior was similar to yours, to where Other than having to do the 9 to 5 and that kind of keeping you in a way, it was much, much easier to abuse that going to bedtime. I would game. There was times where I'd game until 2 in the morning, or party until 2 in the morning, or whatever, and missing out on sleep really wasn't too big of a deal in my younger days. It didn't really bother me too much.
Me either.
These days, it can be pretty rough. That's probably just old age catching up with me, I think.
I can still do well without much sleep, but I don't really drink a lot anymore. Like if I'm at my parents', I'll have maybe a drink occasionally, but I used to drink a lot. And so when I started waking up without, I didn't realize I was having hangovers because I got used to them. But waking up without a hangover, um, no, a lack of sleep ain't no problem because it's still nice to not be hungover.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been drunk except for some celebratory reason. I've been averaging like maybe once a year for the last 15 years or so, because it just got to it's not worth it. The fun isn't worth the next day.
I mean, and for me, I don't know, my alcohol tolerance is high enough that I have to want to get drunk to get drunk. I'm never gonna just lose track of myself and end up drunk. It's got to be intentional.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. One last thing before we go, everybody. I want to remind you all to subscribe to Taylor's channel over at Flow State. The link is in the description. And the reason is he's really close to 1,000 subscribers. And that's also our goal over here. And there's kind of this myth that I want to bust about 1,000 subscribers. Everybody thinks that 1,000 subscribers is the monetized thing, and that's it. Well, yeah, sure, but there's also other things that go along with monetizing. You need to have 4,000 hours in the last 365 days, this and that. The big deal about 1,000 subscribers is it opens up all kinds of opportunities for content creators like Taylor and I. The community section, we can start posting polls and images. We can start attaching like short preview videos to premieres that we're releasing. We can accept super chats. Creating channel memberships. We are then protected from other YouTubers stealing our content. We don't have any protection right now. Being under 1,000 subscribers, they can pretty much gank our content, and we can't say anything about it. So there are a lot of really good reasons to help push us to 1,000 subscribers, and we'd appreciate your help to do it, because believe you me, we can get a lot more done and bring a lot more enjoyable stuff. Taylor, do you have anything else you'd like to plug besides your channel?
What's that?
Do you have anything else you'd like to plug besides your channel?
No, I think that's it. Thank you for the plug. It was nicely covered.
Well, happy to. And I appreciate you coming here, and it was a terrific pleasure. After all of the time and the gossip and the talking, it was a real pleasure to sit and chat with you. And I'm gonna look forward to catching up with you in a few minutes to go another round.
All right, I will. I'll set up. I had a great time too. Thanks for having me on, and I will set up that stream, and I will send you a link. Probably 10 or 15 minutes here. We'll be ready to go.
That sounds great. Thanks for hanging with us, everybody. We'll see you on the flip side.